We try to drift so far away from our Constitution. So send us stuff. Our website's therealnewsradio.com. You can email us on air at therealnewsradio.com. If you send us stuff, information like that, we just may play it on the air. So I appreciate that from the listener that sent that to us. Something we want to cover locally. You know, every year you get your tax listing form where you have to list any improvements that you've done to your property. And this was sent to us by listener Dave, and this is what this broadcast is for the listeners to get involved and send us important information, and we can broadcast it here on the hour that WSIC and WDSL has given us. For years, as long as I can remember, and Brian, you correct me if I'm wrong, if you made no improvements to your property, you could throw your listing form away. This year, when you get your envelope and everyone's done got it, there's nothing on it saying anything's different. There's no big red letters saying something's changed. It looks pretty much like it always has, best I can remember. But if you read the bottom of the paper on the back, and I'm going to read it here now. Your personal property and or business personal property listing form must be signed and returned every year, even if you have no changes to report. To avoid a 10% late listing penalty on your tax bill, your listing form must be postmarked by the U.S. Postal Service with a date no later than February 2nd, 2009. Taxpayers who list property at a value less than its true value, file a false listing or affirmation, removes or conceals property for the purpose of evading taxes, or fails to file a property tax listing shall be guilty of a Class 2 misdemeanor and may be subject to a fine up to $500 or 6 months in prison. So now if you do just like you have in years past, you made no improvements, this especially will affect our elderly, and throw this thing away, you are subject to a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Now your annual tax listing form has become just like your federal income tax reform. When you sign it at the bottom, you are liable for all the content of the information on it. If you have any way, in their opinion, misrepresented anything by, I guess, 2 cents or $1, you are now liable for this. And half the county on February 2nd is going to be guilty of this misdemeanor. They are making it criminal, making the public criminal if you do not submit to this kind of form. I called the tax office, got different information from everyone I spoke to. And what gets me is down here on the bottom, it doesn't give me a general statute number where the North Carolina Assembly has made this some kind of a law to make you subject to a misdemeanor or a fine. County commissioners can't pass law, so where did this come from? So we're investigating this. We want to get to the bottom of it, but this was sent to us by Dave, a listener. He had got his tax listing form before I had got mine. I think it's very important. Something Jim had commented on that I think's very interesting. You know, it's a matter of time they'll make guns. Guns are property, and then you'll have to list your guns on here. It's incrementalism. But everyone read your tax listing form. Call the Iredell County Tax Collector. Ask them what gives them the right to make this criminal if you don't sign this and mail this into them. Where do they get the law that they can do this? When did it pass? Where? When? Who? This is a giant step toward criminalizing the entire public. What's your opinion on it, Brian?
It makes me want to move.
Well, we've got a couple other news items we're going to do, but we're going to go ahead and take phone calls because I want people to be able to call in today, and our phone numbers are 704-873-1400, 336-499-0681 if you'd like to comment on this or any of the other news. I want to comment also on the Bart Police shooting and killing of Oscar Grant, and this is being reported on Yahoo News, Associated Press, Reuters. You're not seeing a lot of it on TV, but it has been on TV. We've got the video on our website, therealnewsradio.com. In the early hours of January 1st, Bart Police shot and killed a 22-year-old man, Oscar Grant, on the platform of the Fruitville BART station in Oakland, California. Witnesses report that Grant was lying on his stomach with his hands out in a non-threatening position when he was shot. Police have confirmed Grant was unarmed and have suggested the shooting was an accident. Grant lived in Hayward and leaves behind a 4-year-old daughter. BART officials have not released the name of the officer who shot Grant. After the shooting, BART police seized several cell phones from the people on the platform who said they had used the phone cameras to record what happened. For the first 2 days, BART officials told the mainstream media that surveillance cameras at the station do not record, but then corrected themselves Friday night, saying the cameras did record but didn't show the incident. Amazing. The police, and if you look at the video, for those that haven't seen the video, the man's face down, the police officer just pulls his gun out and blatantly shoots him. Is that right, Brian?
Face down on the ground with his hands cuffed behind his back, not moving at all, not a threat whatsoever. He had already been subdued if he had been a threat earlier. Here he's laying on the ground, face down, handcuffed. So, I mean, the defense was, oh, well, I thought, that was my taser that I was pulling out to shoot him with. Well, why did he even need to be tasered?
I mean, and there was, the video plainly shows at least 3 and most likely 4 officers there on the scene had the man subdued in cuffs, correct?
Yes.
And the defense is going to be they were attempting to tase him for his crime of, from what I can see, and I've seen several different videos of the incident, and thank God people had cameras there and filmed it. Absolutely no justifiable cause to tase the gentleman, much less execute him. This was cold-blooded execution.
Just a total tyranny. It's a police state. Just lick our boots.
And the proof here, they went around and tried to confiscate people's cell phones. Had absolutely no right to take people's phones from them. Even if they had filmed the incident, they have that right. So this is an obvious case of police state mentality. We've executed this gentleman in cold blood. Now we're going to go around and take your phones and then, of course, claim that all of the surveillance cameras that you can see in the video don't work. So, amazing story. This has been on some of the mainstream press a little bit, not much, but just a little bit of it. So, we want to follow this story, see what happens, because it's a very sad story to see a gentleman just murdered in cold blood like that. And we have it on our website, therealnewsradio.com, featured video 5. And if you'd like to call in, 704-873-1400. And we got a phone call. Hey, you're on the Real News. Hey, are you with me? Hello? Okay, there's something else that I would like to
make a call. Please hang.
There's something else that I'd like to comment on, and we followed this story, and that is the anthrax mailing suspect that, in my opinion, was framed. Bruce Ivins is back in the news. This was on Yahoo News. It was reported by Associated Press, and the story is, and this was reported by David Dishnew. He's a writer for Associated Press. Anthrax mailing suspect Bruce Ivins tormented his wife with rudeness and behaved erratically in the weeks before the Army scientist took his own life by overdosing on Tylenol. Of course, they're continuing to paint him as some kind of a deranged lunatic, but of course, he managed to have top secret clearance all the way up into Fort Detrick's Maryland weapons lab. But the article goes on to say that Diane Ivins insisted, Ivins, who worked at Fort Detrick's Biological Defense Laboratory, died at Frederick Memorial Hospital July 29th as federal authorities were preparing to charge him with mailing the anthrax-filed letters that killed 5 people and sickened 17 others in 2001. We got a phone call. Ivins' lawyer, Paul Kemp, maintains that Ivins was innocent and would have been cleared had the case gone to trial. Now, this is what his wife had said. Diane Ivins told police that her husband also had severe headaches July 25th and 26th. About 1 a.m. July 27th, she said she awoke and found him unresponsive on the floor of an upstairs bathroom in their house near Fort Detrick. She called 911 and he was taken to the hospital where he died 2 days later. Now, prior to the July 25th and 26th, he was in a psychiatric ward for two weeks. So he's in a psychiatric ward for 2 weeks. He comes out for 2 days.